mercy, holiness, and health. Come and you shall know peace and joy. So hopefully we'll bring peace and joy tonight to each other.
Agree. We can never have enough. All right, let's do community time and public comment, and then once Elizabeth gets here, we'll assign a process observer and a timekeeper. So I see a few guests out there. Does anyone have comments they want to make before we get started tonight? All right, I'm not seeing any hands shooting up. Would anyone like to jump at the fabulous opportunity to be the timekeeper or the process observer? Brett?
Oh, sorry.
Which one would you like, Liberty?
Timekeeping, please. I haven't done that before. I figure it's my turn.
Okay.
So just to point out, Liberty, we did put times, if you look on, as you're going through the agenda, and you'll just have to like set your little timer, and then you just interrupt us. You say, excuse me, but we're already 5 minutes over, or something like that.
Yeah.
So you recommend actually using a timer, not just glancing at the clock? Okay.
It's all good. You can wing it. Okie doke. The first item on our agenda is accepting the agenda. Does anyone want to put any updates on here? Anything that we haven't covered yet? All right, Elizabeth is messaging me. You are on the wrong link.
I'd like to make a suggestion for the agenda, just in maybe more for the future, but I'd like to suggest that as the representative to the nominating committee, that we put that in the board liaison report section.
Okay.
We don't have a written report now, but I can give a verbal.
All right. Somehow, I don't know where you all went. I just lost the Zoom screen. Let's see.
We're all still here.
Yes, I can see that you're all still here.
So Breck, do you mean you want to have a standing monthly report, or just you want to be put on the agenda when you have a report?
That's
Because
kind of the way the board liaison reports generally go too, that when there is an update.
So you need to let the exec know when they're building the agenda ahead of time.
Yes, and I'll send that in just like.
Great. Just wanted to be clear. You're not asking to be on every month, just when you have a report to give.
Exactly.
Great.
Okay. Well, I can't find you all. I'm going to sign out and come right back because I don't know where.
We see you.
Can you
Yeah.
alt tab between windows? Do you have a Mac?
Yes.
Try alt tab.
Where's alt? Alt tab. That is not doing anything. I know that you're on another window. I just don't know where the windows are. Let's make that go away.
Oh, control tab. Or I got a weird keyboard.
Oh, there you are.
It's alt.
Wow. That was weird. It was like I was in a whole nother dimension. Oh, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. Happy to see you here.
How did you all find it? I went to the website. I went to your email. I just don't, I'm not a very bright person. That's just all there is to it.
I don't know. I clicked on it on the website. Okay. All right. Thank you for the suggestion, Breck. Beth, I'm assuming you got that down, how to change up the agenda a bit. I was looking at nothing there for a sec.
Breck just added it. So Breck, you are changing the agenda. Let me just make sure you got this right. And you're going to do a verbal report tonight. So you already changed the agenda. And so then we just accept the agenda as it has been amended.
Fabulous. Okay. All in favor of accepting the agenda, raise your hand. All right. That appears to be unanimous. All right. I encourage everyone to take a look at the correspondence email at the end from Laura Wallace. She has some suggestions that she wanted to make. particularly about Facebook and our use of Facebook. And Linda replied to her that she anticipates putting together a group to look at the different ways the church communicates to its members and probably to the outside world as well. And hopefully Laura will join that group. She has some long-standing concerns about our use of Facebook. So I think that's a better venue for her. And she can get those concerns addressed. All right, 40 minutes on the reports. The president's report, I have nothing to add. Are there any questions out there about the president's report? All righty. Elizabeth, you're up next. Anything to add or subtract from the vice president report?
Yeah, I just put in the consent agenda, the approval of the Connie Cheatham Award Selection Committee, and that later we will be voting on the Pachem request to use our Summit House space, but you have it on the agenda.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you. I did have a question about the whole Pachem gig. It says they show up, and if they have a fever, they can't come in.
Right, so they have some reserved rooms that are quarantine rooms.
Okay.
And the second thing they've introduced is that if they have overflow of women, they're going to try to house the women at the hotel, because it was a bad idea to think they could house the overflow of both men and women in one location.
Okay. Okay. So
They've revised that.
they're not just leaving them out in the cold. There's a plan if they.
No, they're not leaving them out in the cold.
Okay.
So that's later on the agenda. So if we have any questions, we can ask later on the agenda.
Okay. Jim, you want to slip in a quick one real quick?
I'm asking if my question is better now or later. Is it taken up later?
I think later it's just it's something on the consent agenda. So yes, if you have a question, let's ask it now.
Using the space for Pachem's on the consent agenda?
No, it's under new business.
It's under new business.
Okay.
So when we get to new business, I'll ask my question.
Okay, that sounds fine. All right. Treasurer's report. Stan, anything to add or subtract?
I think I've written enough the past few weeks. I don't think I need to add anything.
Got it. Jim, I see your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, this is going back to the president's report. I did have one hopefully quick thing. Weren't we going to sort of change the name of the, or modify the name to the reopening task force to be the church closure, something like that task force?
It was suggested by Alex, but we never made a conclusion. So,
Okay.
so let's name it.
Because I had a concern that reopening meant that we were going to reopen soon, and I don't want to lead people with false expectations.
Okay.
Why don't we suggest to the task force that they propose a name to us?
Sure.
Leah, you're on the task force. What is your?
I think the name that we had been using on the task force, and Sean can correct me if he has different information, is the building use. Building use task force.
Much more neutral. That sounds better.
So can we modify your president's report to reflect that, please?
Yes, I will modify that report. Thank you
Great.
so much. All right.
And before we move on, I just want to say you guys are so lucky with your treasurer. The treasurer's report is wonderful, and all his work he's been doing is wonderful. So thank you, Stan.
Absolutely. Yay.
Glad I can help.
I'm a Stan.
A Stan fan.
Thank you, Jim.
Horrible. All right. Who are we up to? Linda, anything to add or subtract from your report?
Yes, you notice in my report I highlighted something in red.
Right.
This is my very cool, high-tech, not really, but way of asking people to spot there's something I've actually asked you in the report. And that is, I have to scroll down to find out what it was. Oh, I would love if you all would be interested in taking turns on Sunday morning to be a welcomer in the service. It would just be, I would script it. It would be a brief thing where you would say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a member of your board of trustees. So glad you're here. I've been in this congregation for so many years, and this is one of the reasons I love it. And that's all it would have to be, something like that. I think it's important to make sure people know who the board is so they get to see you, know you, hear your voice in a non-board role in a way, just as a person who's welcoming people. And if you're interested, I would love to start, signing you up for different Sundays. It would, if everybody wanted to do it, it would be once every 9 Sundays. But if a few of you are shy and only a few of you want to do it, then you'd be asked a little bit more often.
So can you send us a sign-up chart and we'll just all sign up and take the work from you of assigning us?
Okay, that'll be an interesting challenge. I will see.
Sorry.
I don't know how to do things like that. I will see if
I can do it, Rev Linda. I can do it. I'll
Okay,
send
Beth.
it out like I do the board minutes. I'll just send it out as a
Great.
Google Doc and a link for people to
Yeah.
sign up.
And if you have any questions or concerns about why I wanted to have this happen, or if you think it's absolutely a bad idea, feel free to tell me that too, because, it was just a suggestion I had to make.
We used to do it. Do you guys remember? We used to have a board member come up in church at the same time and do the same thing.
Right. I think a lot of people like that. Jim, did you have a comment?
Quick question. Would this be sort of after the 11 o'clock hour or kind of pre the 11 o'clock hour?
No, it would be part of the, worship. It would probably be after the prelude. And just before the worship weaver begins with their part, we could have you do the initial welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
And I see Sean.
Sean?
Beth, will you copy me on that sign-up sheet so I can add it to our schedule where the worship weavers and the tech people are as well, so we know everybody's supposed to be there on Sundays.
Oh, yes. Thank you for thinking of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Certainly.
That's terrific. And then there was one other item that I did not put on the my report because I just found out about it. We're going to be participating in the You the Vote denominational effort. We're getting a 11-minute sort of homily from the president of the UUA that we're going to use in one of our services in October. And my question was, it's not a service where there's a social action collection. Is it okay if we were to include that people could make gifts to support You the Vote? They're asking us sort of a free will offering to use any of the materials they're sending us. They're sending us music and readings. I'm not sure how much we'll use because we'll be doing our own service, but I wanted to include some of it. And so I don't know what the procedure is if I wanted to add another ask for money. Is that a board question? Or
it's a Stan question.
Is it a Stan
Finance
question?
Committee approves that. And I don't know when they meet next, or he can just send out an email meet.
Yeah, it's going to be another month before they meet. We met just last Monday.
Right.
So it can be done by email with finance.
Okay, I'll try to do it by email with finance. To me, it's kind of a way, since we don't pay most of our dues, it's kind of a little way to people might want to give money to support the You the Vote initiative. And I just thought that would be something to do. It's I'm thinking of doing it October 4th, which is not anywhere near the Social Action Collection Sunday. And it would just be for that one time, that one little ask. And
All right.
Keep Sean looped in because he's the one that figures out how to send it to the right place when it gets donated.
yeah, Sean is looped in on everything, much to his dismay, I think. Everything goes through Sean. But yeah, I wanted to find out what the procedure was. So Stan, thank you. I will check in with the Finance Committee to see if they have any objections to us doing a special little collection along with our, regular offering.
Sounds good.
And other than that, I've just been having a really wonderful time getting to know more members of your wonderful congregation. And it's an exciting and vibrant time to be with you.
I think everyone's thrilled that you're here. It's a relief and a joy to have you with us. I think we can all agree on that. All right. Alex submitted a written report. I hope you've all had a chance to read that. Leah, anything to add or subtract from your report?
No, I have nothing to add, but I'm open to any questions you might have.
Anything?
I guess my only quick question is just how did you think things went for your first chapel on Sunday?
I think they went well, and our numbers were smaller than I had hoped. So we had a total of 36 participants. 9 of them were children. So I think that the feedback that we've gotten that people are zoomed out is real. And so it was a beautiful day. People might have been outside instead. So we're going to just keep going forward and then reassess when it feels like we've given it enough time to see if it's meeting enough need. I think the people who were there had a positive experience and their needs were met, but it's considerably smaller than what I would have hoped.
Yeah.
So Leah, I have a small, I just noticed that we went from our Wednesday message from it being a sort of short inspirational message to a whole lot of information. So it quit feeling like an inspirational message to me and felt like just one more newsletter. So I don't know how I think that's you.
Well, it's the whole staff team. The whole staff team works on this together, Elizabeth. We do everything as a team. And the first part of it, I actually spent in meditation, because the first 2 things that you click on were a beautiful video of walking in the autumn, listening to music. And then there was another wonderful song with lyrics. And it was a very meditative centering time for me. And then, of course, the other information was very helpful about links for families of how they can find RE materials, and news about the showing up in the newspaper tomorrow, things like that. So I hear what you said, that you wanted a short meditative reading, and I found the videos were very meditative. But we'll keep in mind that you don't want to have too much to look at on Wednesday.
I think the thing that I want to just make sure you all are aware of is that we used to send out, or for a while we were sending out 3 communications from the church a week. We had what we were calling the nourishing one that went out on Wednesday, the regular Friday email, and then a Saturday faith development email. And what we decided as a staff is that we are no longer sending out 3, we are sending out 2. And so that is why you are experiencing the Wednesday email as being different, because it is now faith development, but in a way that hopefully is accessible to people as they're connecting with resources virtually. So I think we're trying to limit the Wednesday one so that it doesn't have announcements. It really is about faith development and across the ages, and the art. So those are the things we're including in that one. Something inspirational or nourishing, information about faith development, and then the art. And so it is different, Elizabeth, than what we had been doing earlier, but it's different with intention.
Cool. All right. Well, looking forward to all of that. Any other questions for Leah? Okie doke. Sean, you're up next. Anything to add, or any questions for Sean?
Nothing to add from me, other than this Friday I'm writing in the email that's going out, and the renewal piece is going to be about trying to get the congregation to integrate more with Breeze, asking them to slowly move away from PayPal, and letting them know that we'll be moving to MailChimp, which has better integration with Breeze. So rather than having to update 3 or 4 different places like we had to with Power Church, we just update emails in Breeze, and then it automatically updates MailChimp, which would be nice. And Carolina and I are going to create a form for the people who are supporters or attenders, not members, who want to still be a part of the Friday email. Because right now we send the email out to over 1,000 people, and I'm pretty sure that not all 1,000 need to have emails sent to them. So that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Cool. Great.
So
All
are
right.
you saying that we're going to trim out people who don't respond?
Well, basically all of the members, I've been, contacting them for the past 2 months and trying to get everybody up and running. And I'm fairly confident I'm going to get all we're going to get as far as that's concerned. So the email that's going to go out this Friday is, hey, if you're still interested in getting this email and you're not a member, members have to do nothing. They're already good to go. But if you're not a member and you still wish to get this email, then do this form, and then we can see how many people are actually interested and active in it. So when we look at our click-through rate or opening rate, it'll be a much more representative of our actual rate than some random number.
Wow, that's great. Amazing. All right. Other questions for Sean? Who's up next? Director of Music, I did not see a report from Scott. Perhaps next month. Linda, did you want to say something?
If you need a report from Scott, I'd be happy to report on his behalf. He's,
That's great.
I don't feel like, his work is really board work. It's working on, with the, the music and the arts and the,
Sure.
so if you want me to include that in my report, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, that would be great. We were hopeful. Well, that would be great. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, he's, just to update you, he's working with the choir to produce at least one anthem a month.
Okay.
So that he can get them, working with us on that, and then one original hymn or video or something a Sunday. So it's a fair amount of work actually to put that together. And so I'm really encouraging him to get our own congregants involved in creating music, and so
Right.
that's what he's going to be working on.
Right. I've noticed his microphone really makes a huge difference. He sounds like he's sitting next to me when I hear him in worship. So, yeah. Okay. Membership is also a written report, and our membership stands at 377. Let's go through the liaison reports. Elizabeth, did you have anything more to say about personnel? I think it was all.
We're meeting with Reverend Linda on tomorrow, and we will have all of the staff reviews on your desk, Lori, because this was your year to be supervisor.
Right.
By next week, and then we hope you're finished by October 15th.
I hope I'm finished by October 15th too. Right.
Yeah, before would be better, but
yeah, no.
We should be.
I need to carve out some time. All right, thank you. The Glen Short Trust, again, another written report. It looks like they have about $42,000 left to spend, and no shortage of good projects for them to do it on. So I think we're all looking forward to being back with them. Music committee is Kelsey, and I think Kelsey was being pulled in 10 different directions. Stan, go ahead.
You skipped right over Breck on the revised agenda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Breck. Where are you?
No worries. I'll be quick. But I did a couple of important things. We met yesterday evening. Mary Beth Wiley will be the chair this year. And while the bulk of our work is really focused or most visible in the spring, there's a couple of things. One is that we do have an opening on the personnel committee that we have, last I had heard, we still want to fill given the work that's required there. And we also have an opening on the nominating committee. So any thoughts that anyone has or interest in leadership, please send them our way. Also, I think part of having standing reports from our committee that meets regularly is to be available should the board need additional assistance in filling any other kind of ad hoc committees throughout the year. So we will be meeting regularly. That's it.
Great, thank you so much. I'm sorry I skipped right over you, Breck.
That's right. It's a late edition.
Yeah.
And we still have 20 minutes for this, so
we're just
fine.
Zooming through these guys tonight. All right. Once again, the music committee is Kelsey, but she's got a rock the vote thing, and she's got some other thing that Kelsey's busy these days. I think it's a newborn.
Yeah, and I think that I heard from Scott, their most recent meeting is going to be tomorrow evening.
Oh, great.
I think that's what I heard, but so she might not have anything to report right now anyway.
All right. Yeah, I think her hands are full right now. All right. Church closure task force. Sean, do you have an update for us?
So we do have Blue Ridge Music Together coming in.
Right.
They will be working or using the side lot of Summit House for 8 weeks. So on the first Friday of October, November, they will be kind of running up against the food pantry. but Elizabeth has already contacted Estella, and I think, well, the plan for Estella is to move back to the Labyrinth when she's not on the, when the food pantry is there, in order to keep the distance. They're not to use the bathrooms, but they do. It's going to be families with little kids, so I told them if it's an emergency, that was all right, and just to let me know and make sure they thoroughly clean the bathroom. So that might bump into Pacham if we decide to go ahead and let a Pacham in, because they were. I don't remember, what was the start date on Pacham, Elizabeth?
November, and it's not the 1st of November, but the first week of November.
Yeah, so
3rd.
they're supposed to go through, I think, the second or third Friday in November, and with rain days pushing it further back. I don't know how long they're going to last outside in the cold.
John, they're gone. Pacham is gone at 8 o'clock in the morning and not back till 5 at night. So I don't think it is I don't think they bump into each other.
Okay, that's good then. So we should be fine with that. And we're still, I'm waiting to hear back from Czech about some of the use that they want to do. They've got a plan put together, but I haven't seen it yet on exactly what they want. So as soon as I hear back from them, we'll know more.
What was that organization?
Czech, it's the Charlottesville Homeschooling Co-op. They were one of our biggest renters, and they normally rent the buildings they rent the entire building on Mondays during the school year. So losing them is a big hit to our revenue. The other big one is Kaplan, and I haven't heard anything from Kaplan or any of the AA groups yet either. So the only ones who really want the space are those who are doing the homeschooling, and there's a couple people who want to take their homeschool or their classrooms to our facilities. So I'm still waiting to hear back from some people.
So did you actually say, Sean, I'm sorry, that the Czech, the Seville Homeschooling Co-op, they are interested in coming back on Mondays? Is that...
They are interested in using some of the facilities outdoors. They're not interested in coming back into the building yet. So they said that they're getting ready to vote on whether or not they're going to actually do it. But I want to see their policies on their distancing and all that before I even send it to the building use team.
Okay, thanks.
And Sean, we've got all those metal chairs when they start wanting to put people outside, that it might be the easiest to clean and everything. They're in Summit House. I'll show them to you next time I'm there.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much. And so under name change task force, we should change this to building use task, or excuse me, church closure task force should be building use task force. Okay. We'll update that. All right. Now we're up to name change task force. Liberty, since you're number one on the agenda, can we just hold questions and comments for 5 more minutes? And then once we start with the agenda, we'll give you that extra time. Okay. And the last thing under board liaison reports is Kay's volunteer coordinator report. And I hope everyone had a chance to read that. I think that's it then. Anything I missed in the report section here? All righty. And then under consent agenda, we're going to vote on this. So we're approving the last set of minutes from August 2020 and Linda's interim ministry team, Kay Frazier, Chris Little, Pam McIntyre, Bev Ryan, thank you, and Ann Salamini. Do you want to say anything about that, Linda, or?
No, if you appoint these folks, we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow evening, and we're going to get rolling. And probably the number one thing that's going to happen is during the month of October, deep listening, we're going to be setting up times for them and others that they recruit to do some appreciative inquiry sessions, basically where we get people together in either natural groups, like going to their committee meetings, or inviting people to sessions. And we've even been talking about, Leah and I have been talking about finding a couple of locations outdoors, so that in October, while the weather's nice, we could even invite people to come to an outdoor session. So just be listening to people about what they love about the congregation.
Excellent. That would be great. Wow, seeing each other in person.
Maybe. Maybe we'll
Maybe.
meet. Maybe we'll meet in front of Atlas Coffee. Who knows?
Bring it on. We're ready for you. And finally, Elizabeth, I saw you set up the Connie Cheatham Committee. We're going to
Yes.
build on that.
So, Beth, I was going to write it in, but it's Sally Taylor, Elizabeth Breeden, Bob Gross, Linda Dukes, and Josie Taylor. Do you want me to type it for you? Just got myself
I've
permission.
got Bob, Linda, Josie. Who's the other two?
Me
Sally
and
Sally Taylor.
Sally. Okay.
And Sally Taylor's the chair.
All righty.
And I should warn you that Sally Taylor's been on me about the, where you review the policies and procedures, and Sandy Brooks has already volunteered, but we need a board member. And I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
I knew that. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to.
It's out there, but a board member's supposed to be on it. So it's Sandy Brooks and Carol Black. They'll do all the work. You just have to pay attention. Sandy's really great at this. Sandy loves this stuff.
All right. We'll all roll that around. See who's going to jump at this fabulous opportunity. Okay. In the meantime, all in favor of the consent agenda items, please raise your hand. And that appears to me to be unanimous. Thank you, friends. All right, rolling right along with this meeting. The first item under old business is the name change task force. Woohoo. And Liberty, I think you have the floor.
Okay, well, I hope everyone had a chance to read through at least the abbreviated version of the Cottage Conversation report, compiled notes. If you click on the link and go to the website, it's quite extensive. Our note takers were very thorough, and so you really get a snapshot of the different things that were said. And like I said in my report, for the most part, it was overwhelmingly positive. And those who, if anything, were ambivalent, really thought if other people want it, I defer to them. We are getting ready to have the congregational meeting on Sunday, and so we're going to be filling out that script. I got that document from you, Lori, and so we're going to start filling in the pieces, but I think we have everything lined up. Christine sent out her text. I don't know what a process would be for editing. I know we wanted to see that ahead of time. I don't know if there's any room. I mean, it's obviously her personal words.
Well, okay,
yeah.
So Liberty, I wrote her, and I'm sure it's after you came to the meeting, that you have a video and 2 other testimonials, so that her presentation we thought was going to be 3 minutes, and that's well over 10 minutes.
You think what she wrote was over 10 minutes of reading?
I read it as fast as I could out loud, and I was at 8 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, I read it too. It was closer to 20.
Okay, well then that's just fair enough. She'll have to edit for time, and so I would love it if you guys could give her that feedback. And you did.
I gave her the feedback, and she said, "Well, Liberty needs to tell me that because I'm hoping the board will I need to say every one of those golden words."
Okay, well, I'll do what I can. I mean, the time is the time. Like, we can't make people sit there for 20 minutes. So that's just what it is. We'll work on that. And should we give her any like feedback on sections that maybe could go? Because I can definitely see that. I mean, I guess I could do that. Because when I was reading it, I was like, I don't think this is like a verbal, this is a reading thing.
I can help too.
Okay, so we have until Saturday at least. Another question I had about that is the 2 people who are speaking aren't really, we don't have them coming on Saturday. Is that how it works? Or should they be there? And should they actually give their presentation on Saturday for the rehearsal?
Can they give us the written one so we know so we slot it in and know it, I mean, so we're.
What they're going to say. Perhaps, I don't know. I know that Catherine is having a lot going on in her family right now, and so I'm kind of loath to add something else. She seems very diligent about the 2 minutes, and she seems really conscious of that, and so I'm not really concerned. I personally, I would trust like blocking off 2 minutes and giving her that slot.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, and then Carolyn is,
Caroline's making coffee for me on Saturday afternoon.
yeah, so, but
so-
she's still working on her little video, and she knows that that's supposed to be very brief, and hopefully will even fit in her 2 minutes.
Okay.
If the video presentations, that would be helpful to have those for the tech rehearsal. Because
Okay.
we make sure we've got it loaded right. We make sure we've got a volume setting.
Okay.
And
Okay. Breck?
I just had a question. If for Christine's statement, is there a way that we could allow her to enter that statement into the record, even if she's not reading all the words? That help with the editing?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Did you read it, Breck?
I've not read it in time
Well,
myself.
I find that when she gets going, I skim it. And so,
Sure.
so I think that if I could get her to highlight what she has to say, it would be more impactful and actually say something.
Oh, I agree. I just wonder if she felt like she could submit it for the record and it goes to the minutes, then it might make the editing process a lot easier.
We can have her edit it. We can have her submit it for the board meeting, and she can put it in here under correspondence. But
Yeah.
I'm concerned that that will be somewhat tacit approval that she doesn't need to edit it, but she really needs to. She needs to try for 2 minutes, and we should hope for 3. So I'll also reply to her, Elizabeth, that she needs to cut it down to like 3 paragraphs.
And I think that Saturday is going to reveal that, because, you know, if we have a timer and we're going through and it's a rehearsal, it's like you're cut off. Like,
Yeah.
you've got to go back tonight and like whatever,
Right.
and you can't read fast.
Right.
You know, that's, they can't cheat it, because we all need to hear.
here's the other thing that is something that we used to do at General Assembly is you take the speech, you divide it up into 2-minute segments, and you get your friends to line up at the pro mic, and they just, when they're called on by the moderator, they get to do the rest of it. So you can get all the thoughts out. I mean, if she thinks everything needs to be heard.
Right.
That's the other thing, is that her statement could be a brief summary. And then if there's other points she wants made, she can make sure they line up in the pro mic.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're going to be taking pro speakers, right, Lori, the whole time? Pro and con, pro and con, pro and con?
Yeah, we flip back and forth, pro and con, and then
Yeah.
Point of order jumps to the front. So yeah, pretty typical. Okay. Liberty, what else?
So one of the other things I just want to keep on everyone's mind is that I don't know what the feedback will be tomorrow when that story comes out. If they post it to social media, there may begin to be some like comments on that. Hopefully they just won't even post it, is my opinion, but they might. And so we should monitor that. I can volunteer to do that, to look, but I don't really have a response in mind, or know that we necessarily should respond unless there's something that like really struck us as troubling. But I think that once that's a newspaper is out, and if that gets shared, that's when we would be looking at our own Facebook page to start getting comments. You know, people can't post anywhere anymore except on comments, like on photos. You know, our group is closed now, I believe, and our public facing page you can't post on, but you can, you know, someone could comment on our logo, or, you know, something we previously posted. So we have to be aware of that, and then anticipate some negative feedback. And personally, I'm of the mindset that if you don't want it there, it's your page, you can just take it down. Like, we're not the government. Free speech is relative, and this is our public facing page. And so if anything is not like from our congregation and generally in covenant, I think we can use that to edit. And then I would just say that, you know, Caroline answering the phones and anyone else receiving emails, we just have to keep it in mind that we might get pushback, and be prepared to send serious inquiries to Reverend Linda, and everything else, you know, just really ask the highest standards of people who are communicating with us and not indulge abuse in any way.
Agreed. Linda.
I haven't gone to the Daily Progress website. When they post stories, do they allow comments? Because that's where I think the comments it'd be good to see if there's a way we could keep, you know, putting out the first principle, the second principle, whatever, just simple statements about what we believe. But somebody needs to monitor that, I think.
They do allow comments, and they tend to be pretty far to the right. The Progress has a reputation as sort of a right-leaning newspaper.
Is that right?
I think. Would everyone agree with that? I don't know. And so, yeah, we'll see. Sometimes their comment section gets a little tricky. So my question is, Liberty, do we want to, or anyone, do we want to link the story to our closed group Facebook page? Is someone going to post it there, or are we just going to, depends what it says.
I'd say
Depends what it
depends.
says. Yeah.
Did
Okay.
you say the pen stand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. And then, to be honest with you, in line kind of with Laura Wallace of saying, we have not really had a lot of activity on that page. Am I right? Or it's just not on my feed. So I feel like we're handling this internally. It's our business. People who are now, we're all online anyways. I felt like that used to be like, if you weren't in the church, you could do online. Now we're all online. And so info's on our website. Things are in our newsletter. And I don't see any reason to stir that up there. I feel like people have ways of communicating with us digitally now besides Facebook.
Mhm. Linda, how did the interview go? Did you feel confident talking to this person that you're?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good interview, but you never know what a reporter is going to do, because
Yeah.
oftentimes reporters don't say what you say. So
Yeah.
I gave them, I gave him the very carefully crafted soundbite that Liberty and Christine and I worked on, so that I wouldn't just ramble on and on. But the way I did the interview was I first started asking him about himself. So he talked a lot about his career and why he was working there and how long he'd been there and what he liked to cover and what part of the world he was from. And, we did all that. And then I asked him how he heard about the story and I framed it as, this is an important conversation and our congregation is, engaged in this conversation. And then I did our soundbite of the 3 points that I made. And then I asked him if I could preview the story, and he said no, that he wouldn't have a problem with it, except that a couple of times when he sent a text to somebody ahead of time, he ends up finding it on social media. In other words, he gets scooped by his own story.
Right.
So I said I respected that, and I would trust that he would frame the story the way I had shared it with him.
Sure.
But you never know with reporters.
Right.
And I don't know him.
How did he find out about this story?
He said he knew a lot of people in the church, and he knew that we were a very active congregation, and he runs into people. But I think if I got it right, he mentioned a couple of times, Leah, who was the person I told you? JJ
Towler, I think was who you said.
JJ Towler?
Yeah, and it was it was in the he didn't say anybody had sent him a message saying you got to cover this. It was more in the context he was in a at a coffee shop or someplace like that.
Yeah.
I think is what he said.
Just came up in chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
JJ has an in at the Daily Progress, and she encouraged it. That's
Okay, then that's.
from a coffee shop.
Okay.
That's just me and with.
I don't know. I didn't press him real hard on it because he obviously didn't want to say too much to me about that.
All right. Liberty, do you feel like you have what you're going to say in the script? I mean, is it just a matter of cutting and pasting now to get everything in there?
I mean, what we're going to say as far as, it's just like the roles, right?
Yeah.
Christine, and then our speakers. And then,
Okay.
that's
So-
it. I guess, is there something you would say as an introduction or no? Or
Here's
we just
here's
roll
the
into-
name change task force is pretty much all I'm going to say. And then,
okay.
so it's Christine and then 2 speakers and a video, or is Caroline's part the video?
I think it's mostly going to be her video.
Okay.
As far as I can clarify with her, because I did say you have 2 minutes. If you need longer for the video, let us know. But she knows she's working within that.
Okay.
But I can circle back with her when I tell her. Yeah.
That's fine.
Are you
But then-
talking, are you talking about my Caroline?
Yeah. Mhm.
So
You have
she, I can help you.
Okay.
She is meeting up with her peeps from the YRUU, and supposedly they are going to do this. She's going to videotape them socially distanced saying some words, and she's going to video different kids, and she's going to cut it off at 2 minutes. So they're all going to meet somewhere, and she's going to videotape them saying a script that she's written. And they've all agreed, like, these are kids that want to do this. It's not like she's forcing them.
All right.
That's the plan.
That's
So-
the plan. And I don't think we've clarified that we should have it by Saturday. So we have to, and Beth, maybe you can remind her too, that now we're going to ask her to attend the rehearsal, and that's at 3:00 on Saturday. Am I right? So,
So there is a problem with Saturday, unfortunately, because it's her 17th birthday.
oh my God.
So, and
We
she's planning.
don't need her. We
We
just
don't
Yeah.
need her. Yeah,
we just need her
her
video.
That's what I told her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it really her birthday? She's working. She's going to make so many tips. She's going to be rich at the end of the day. We're going to get her a birthday hat.
You may see her sister instead of her, but we'll see.
Either one. They're both charming. Okay. All right. Liberty, anything else to?
No, that's it. Except, we appreciate any support we can get. And I'm willing to answer questions, but feel free to jump in if I sound like I'm scrambling for an answer, especially if it's somebody coming at us with the technicality of is this the public witness process, or is this a board task force that's saying now you must change the name? And I know some of you got those correspondence from Christine, and we had a kind of conversation about it because even we had some confusion. And so maybe we all could take this minute to clarify that. Are we following the public witness process, or is this a board-driven initiative starting from scratch, if you will?
Liberty, you yourself described this in the best way I've heard. We started using the public witness process. We got all the way to the last step, and the board appointed a task force. And when we looked back, we fulfilled all of the public witness check marks. And so Christine frames it that you all convinced the board that appointing a task force was a clearer way to make sure to finish the job, to draw the job to a conclusion, not finish the job. So, and you described that, and I thought it was true. When I went back through, we'd done everything that the public witness rules say you're supposed to do. So you've done both. And I think that's how you answer people.
The only thing that is maybe sticking point is that in that initial motion, we did say we would take 6 months, but of course, pandemic came along right about at the 6 month mark.
You take 6 months and only 6 months.
Right.
You took 12, but God bless you, you only took 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so my answer, if that comes up, is yes and both. Yeah, the board is pushing this across the finish line, and the public witness process was used to get us here.
So Dan's only big deal was, did you have the first vote? And when you came up with that in your timeline, I hope he sat back down. But I think Linda, talking to him directly, Dan likes a couple of strokes to show that he's an important person, and then he settles down. So he just wants to feel that he had an important thing to say.
And does anyone else imagine any other technical questions somebody might have about the process, or wanting to put forth an amendment to the motion, which is what we don't want?
Yeah, I think, Brett, go ahead.
Well, I had an extensive conversation with Christine about any concerns that anybody has related to signage, permitting, BAR, anything that might be related to that should not be a concern, but if it comes up, I'm happy to speak to it.
Okay, great. And I think we should ask Matthew Diazio to be the parliamentarian again. And so I'm hopeful that if you get any technical questions like that, that Matthew will be able to answer some of that. Does that make sense?
And then when Liberty and I made a plan, and it might not, is that really it's, Liberty is a communications major, so that if it's a technology or a question, it's Liberty that answers. It's sure that Christine may have something to add, but I just feel like that Liberty's able to condense the answer more easily.
Agree. I think, Liberty, you're going to get to be the point person.
Yeah.
Linda?
Okay.
The other thing, Laura, I would say is if somebody raises a question, you're facilitating the pro-con, right? And you're going to rule, if somebody's out of order, like if they've gone too much time and you get the time signal, all that. But I mean, it's sometimes the question could be directed to somebody that's not even, for instance, Sean as DAF, not as a member of the task force, is doing the research of if this were to happen, what would possibly be costs of changing signs and stuff. So there's sort of technical questions, or you could decide, Laura, you could say, well, this question of changing or not doesn't mean that we are committed to spending a certain amount of money. It's more a question then we start to, that would be the next stage. And
Right.
I've had a couple of people ask me that question. So, do we know what we're doing after that? Are we going to start doing this or doing that? Or that's a new name. And I said, well, we first have to have the vote. And then, so
Sure.
process wise, and I think Lori could do that, could just explain that the process will be, decided, thought about, and be a conversation that'll go on after the vote when we know whether or not we're doing this.
Right. I think it's important, one step at a time.
But I feel like that's where somebody might have grounds to say, I would like to put an amendment on there that, I demand that this be done in 6 months, or I demand that you, in the motion, you say how we will choose the name. And you feel confident that we can say, that's not the task at hand. We will do that.
Right. Absolutely.
In good faith and covenant.
Absolutely. It's the motion as written. And again, one step at a time. We're going to take this and vote on this, and then we'll move forward after it. We're not going to try and cram too much on our plate right away. So.
Okay, well, as the timekeeper, I have 22 seconds, so I will yield my time. Thank you all very much, and look forward to all your support on Sunday.
Excellent. Yeah, and on Saturday, we'll see everyone at 3:00. The next item is the congregational meeting prep schedule. So I just want to remind you. And can we take a second here to figure out who's going to do what for this? We'll need a timekeeper. Elizabeth, are you going to monitor the con mic? What did you pick?
I was going to do the chat room and the con mic, right? Because I think they'll be more pro.
Uh-huh. And then I think Elaine Chapman volunteered to be the other mic. I'm hopeful Matthew is going to do the parliamentarian. David Shutt, are you the timekeeper?
I am, yes. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult this time than the last few times.
Yes, you may actually have to ring that bell a few times.
We're going to have a few discussions on Saturdays to, just shut them off mid-sentence, but that's probably not for a conversation tonight.
Yeah.
But if it is, then we can talk about it, but otherwise,
sure,
talk about it on Saturday.
Linda, do you have any experience? What do people typically do?
Well, what I was going to suggest is, if it's going to be a little tenser, maybe, if people want to talk longer and people start getting angry because the timekeeper's trying gently to get them to stop, I would love it if it'd be okay for Lori to recognize me out of order. Like I would try to do point of order, but I don't know if I could find my way to the right place to click. But to offer everybody to take a deep breath, to do a moment of reflection and silence. Sometimes that really helps in a meeting. If somebody just says, let's take a moment, let's pause, let's breathe deep. Let's remember that we're all a people of faith and love, and we're here to support one another.
Right.
And have a moment of silence and then hand it back to you. So if things get that crazy, I would, that people started being rude, or, I would maybe ask to be recognized. And I will try to learn how to do the person that's the point of order. Who's the point of order person usually? Last time it was
Matthew.
It was Matthew. So you go to the parliamentarian for point of order. Okay.
Parliamentarian, correct.
So I just wanted to say that I will be prepared to do that if I start to feel like David's looking a little panicked or something.
Okay, thank you. And then Breck, are you still going to be the head counter?
Yeah, I'll plan on checking people in and being the teller.
Okay, Thank you so much.
I think, whether it's Stan or who else, Dave was, if we end up needing to do a hand count, I would love
Right.
to have them available.
Okay.
So about that, if we do what we did last Sunday for the breakout rooms, we can do a quick training on how to use the participants window, because that green check is easy to find and that does not go away until we clear it. That'd be a lot easier to count than just people holding up their hands.
Yeah, that would be great. So, and the conversation is that we do that for the budget vote, correct?
Well, there's two issues with that, though. One is that doesn't account for more than one person on the screen. The green mark is fine for one person, but if there's more than one, then we've got an issue. It's also hard to do it for the people on the phones. But the other thing is that I'm not sure that I would, under the circumstances, be comfortable with just a hand count vote with Zoom. I'm fine with it in the sanctuary, but given some of the close votes we've had, even though I'm not expecting this to be close, I would much rather be there. I would much rather that there be no question at all
Right.
that it was a proper count.
Right. And it's already been bundled together, right? Sean, the election ballot's a done deal already. It's bundled.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's a done deal. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. And then based on our experience at the last congregational meeting, Sean got overwhelmed with, requests for technical help and monitoring the breakout room. And then there was a video, and then there was a thing and another thing. So we definitely need some more people to work with Sean to manage some of the heavy hitting technical aspects.
So we decided if he got himself some telephone people, that was the biggest. You go, Sean. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing I need the biggest help with is somebody who knows how to run the breakout rooms or willing to learn how to do the breakout rooms. It's really not too difficult, but that way I can be put into a separate room to do tech support with those who need tech support help. And then Caroline can go to another room to take the phone votes, and then we can bounce people around as we need to.
Okay.
This is during the voting process?
Yeah. This is so because the last every time we've done it, there's been some people who need help. There's only two people the first time, but then last time a lot of people wanted help.
And part of the complication was also we're playing a video. Are we going to be playing a video again?
No, not to my knowledge. Not during the vote.
So the rest of us that have no problem, we get just to sit there and smile at each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Pam, I saw your hand, and then Jim. Pam, go ahead.
I would be very happy to be trained if you can do the training, and I'd be happy to help out with the breakout room.
Awesome.
Me too. I don't know if there's anything being part of the task force that would preclude me. I feel like I'll have just as much time.
Liberty, I'm going to guess you're going to have your hands full.
Okay.
So.
But she's so smart on IT that
right.
Well, we can ask.
Let's ask
Jim, and then David. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I was gonna weigh in like Pam and volunteer to be a breakout room break master.
Break master. David, go ahead.
And same here. If I'm done doing my timing, then
all right,
whatever I can do to help.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll let you guys communicate with each other and figure out a plan.
You all got my email.
Thank you so much. Okay. Is there any other positions for the congregational meeting that I'm forgetting?
Wait, who are running the mics? I know Elizabeth's running one. Who's Matt's doing the.
Elaine Chapman's got the pro mic, and I have the concerned mic.
Right, and then we just need to check in with Matthew and make sure he's good to reprise his role. And Beth, I don't know if you heard me say this, I sent everyone a link to a Google Doc to get going on the script. And I've cut and pasted tons of stuff from the last congregational meeting, but the the introduction to the budget and the introduction to the name change, that's all going to be new. So Stan, I sent it to you if you want to have a look at it and put some budget information in there. Likewise, Liberty, take a look, please, and see what you want me to say. Or I'll just wing it and say, here we go. And then Stan, I don't know how much talking or discussion you and I want to do about the budget during this meeting. I feel like we've had 2 Sunday afternoon meetings. I don't want to go through that all again.
I don't think we're going to need to have too much. Most of my comments are going to be along the lines of, I hope you've read all the materials that have gone out about this. There's much more in there than I can go over
Okay.
in this period of time. And if there's any questions, then I'll just have to try and answer them.
Yeah, I think it'll be more questions. I really don't think we need to do just a brief introduction and then go right to questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You know-
Sean, in Friday's email, where the budget people are putting the same information out again, but Liberty has a new letter that replaces Christine's. Liberty, you go.
Oh, Sean has it. That email is going to go out tomorrow, and it's all prepared
Yeah,
with
there's
that
a whole
new text. Mhm.
process. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's. Okay.
I have,
okay.
I'm sorry, Stan, I have got the link and the changing that it was just the program budget that was changed, not the line item budget that was changed. Do you want me to include all the information again?
It can't hurt.
Okay.
And it's all the same as what should have gone out 10 days before the meeting anyway. And again, the line item budget hadn't changed from what went out even before that. So all of the information has been supplied in plenty of time to everybody, but a little bit of confusion along the way.
Okay.
One thing I just wanted to bring up, it occurred to me that the closing of this meeting might be really important. Either way, how the vote goes on the name change, there's bound to be people disappointed. Obviously, if it doesn't pass, that's going to be a really, really big deal.
Mhm.
And we should be prepared for that. But even if it passes, the people who vote no are going to be really heartfelt about it. And the last thing I want to see is gloating that makes them feel bad. And so I think we have to usher that out in some kind of really mindful way.
Well,
so
I'm going
that-
to be offering closing words, so
Okay, yeah.
I can try to be
So
mindful of
kind of-
everybody's feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, and signaling to the congregation that, like, while we feel joy, you know, we're still gonna like hold those who disagree with this and welcome them back, because you know how it goes.
And just think about all the people that'll be cheering for the budget too. Yeah.
Sean?
So one question about that though is that I did hear that some congregants were surprised that this was coming back because they thought this was settled before. So when the vote is like, say it does go poorly as far as the name change goes and it doesn't change, are we going to say that this will be revisited in the future, or are we just going to leave it kind of open?
I don't have an answer to that. Anyone?
I definitely think it will come up. I mean, you have to have a democratic process. If it gets, the bar is so high that if it's 79% and it fails, that's a huge portion of the congregation has spoken, and really they need an outlet for that. So the democratic process somewhere along the line has to slide in again. Okay, you start another petition, you start another campaign,
Right.
you have another vote, but
Right.
You can't close the door to that.
Well, the way I would phrase it, and I do think it should be in somebody's script, maybe Lori's at the end if it's a no vote, is that because we can see, we've heard from the congregation, and so many people in the congregation feel this way, this conversation will continue. In other words, don't say we're going to start a campaign. That sounds like,
Yeah.
You're trying to push something. Instead, it sounds like the conversation needs to continue, because if there's so many people that feel this way, we need to keep having that conversation. The former Thomas Jefferson district, they actually took it for 3 different votes. I mean, it took them a number of times. They had to go back before it passed. So to say that it's still open, it's ongoing, it matters because so many people care about it. I wouldn't call it a campaign. I'd call it.
No, I just mean somebody would have a right to start a campaign about it against some other congregation member. Did you all see that comment Dave asked here? Well,
I
how
did.
will abstain? Okay.
An abstention vote? Yeah, that's a good question. If an abstention,
It's not 80% is 80% of the people who vote. Abstaining lifts you out of the whole 100% and puts you over in another box.
No, it's 80% to pass, so that means 80% has to be yes. So in that abstention is
There's
kind
a
of a
no
de
vote.
facto no.
yeah. Yeah.
Does it count though?
No, because it's attending, not voting. It's not 80% of those voting. It's 80% of those
that's
attending.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Are you sure of that?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, let me and I want to hand you all one other thing that was said at the organization of taking down the Confederate guy from Albemarle County Courthouse. One of the historians said, "You cannot change the facts of history, but you can change the heritage you wish to embrace." So, so the part about we're not getting rid of Thomas Jefferson. He is part of the history that we have that doesn't change. And I think that perhaps that shifts the people who think you're throwing him out. We're not throwing him out. We're just acknowledging the heritage we wish to choose in the present time.
Sure. I think back to the abstention question, that might be one for Matthew, because that is important. If the abstention vote is a de facto no, we need to figure that out before we start counting votes, because once the votes are all in, it's too late to, start with hanging chads and is this election legal? We need to figure out what we're doing before we go. So I'll email Matthew and check in with him and make sure he's good on board with this. Beth, I see your hand.
Am I wrong to say that to abstain from the vote, I know that this sounds strange, but you're still voting. Like, it's more than just attending the meeting. Like, I could attend the meeting and decide I'm going to leave and go out to lunch and not vote. But if I'm abstaining, like if I send in an abstention, that means I voted. Although the word doesn't really mean that, but that's.
Yeah. That's why I think we should talk to Matthew. Right.
Yeah. When we were in person, you would lift your arm with an abstention vote, and that counted as a vote, and that was counted when we were in person. That was counted, and if we didn't have 80% positive of the collective votes, including the abstentions, then it did not pass.
Right. I see Breck and then Stan, please.
That's my recollection too, but we should confirm. I think something should go into the script about that, so that people realize that how an abstention will be counted.
Right. Okay. Stan?
I was just wondering, is it possible to just remove the option to abstain?
Oh.
Can you take that out of the ballot?
I don't think so.
Vote yes, vote no, or literally don't vote.
Okay. Well, here, take a look at what Sean has in the comments.
And we're at 2 minutes too, so everyone
Sean,
knows.
did you really mean to say white votes may be counted?
Yeah, they're considered.
I think we should count black votes too, right?
A white vote is considered, or a blank vote and a white vote, they're synonymous. So it's a different type of abstention.
Huh, I didn't know that. Okay.
All right. All right. So if that's the answer, then I can put part of that text in the script that abstentions don't count in tallying the vote. It doesn't raise the bar. So good to know. Thank you, Sean. That answers.
What are white votes? I'm sorry, I lost the thread. I don't understand.
They're considered they're like a blank vote. It's a different form where you're basically making an invalid vote to mess with the election.
Yeah.
So I would not use that term in the explanation.
Yeah, that's a cut and paste. So that was not my choice in wording.
So does that mean like you take one off of the total attending? I mean, if the rule says it's 80% attending, say 100 people attend, now you say 99 if one person abstains?
That's still only 80% of the vote.
Of the
not
vote, yeah.
attending.
80% of the vote not attending, because yeah, some non-members will be attending. Okay, I got you.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to point out, I don't think we've ever done it that way.
Oops.
Really? All right, well, I'll go back to Matthew and then
Amy Wiskirk will definitely know, and I'm going to see her at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll definitely ask her.
all right, yeah, ask around, but we need an answer on this because if we have 50 people abstain, that will definitely swing it one way or the other. So yes, please ask Amy.
And we're at time. We absorbed the time that we are so fast with the first reports, and so we absorbed that time, and now we're back at 0.
All right. All right. Well, we're up to break cards and break and gratitude cards. So as always, please, if you have a gratitude card, please type it into the chat box now. It's 7:45. Let's take a 10-minute bio break, and we'll be back here at 5 minutes before 8. Does that suit everyone? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 things on new business. So 10 minutes. I'll see you back in a few. Thank you.
It'll be an interesting meeting this Sunday.
Yeah, I think we'll be ready for it. As long as Elizabeth doesn't cause any problems, we should be fine.
Did you see my most recent question in the chat?
No.
No. From my understanding, it's the percentage of the people who voted. So if 100 members attended and 100 members voted, then yes, 80 people means that it does not pass. But if, like we talked about,
but what if only 79 members voted?
then it would be 80% of those 79 votes.
So what's 80% of 79? Do the math, you know?
Was that 60 something, 64?
But so the important thing is that do we count the abstentions as votes counted? Because then
Right.
80% gets to be, is it easier or harder? And
Well,
It's harder because they're not yeses, so they're no's.
And then also if the quorum, so if we have a quorum of people that attend, but not a quorum vote, or not a quorum vote yes, or not a quorum vote, with the abstain.
I haven't.
And then so how does that work? I mean, so like,
I haven't taken
if there are like a quorum, if there's if there's less of a quorum that vote yes or no.
I think it's still a legitimate vote because the quorum of the congregation was at the meeting.
Yeah, so from my understanding, you have to be in attendance to vote. You have to have a quorum to be able to vote. And then of those available, that's the percentage of those available who do vote, that's the percentage that actually gets counted. So if you have, you need at least 100 members to meet your quorum and you have 100 members attend, then you've met your quorum and you can vote. And it doesn't matter how many of those members vote after the fact. You've met the quorum to be able to vote. You can have the vote even if only 5 people decide they want to vote.
Even though you toss out those who abstain, toss those votes out towards the quorum count.
So if only 5 people vote and then 1 person abstains, then you've got to take the 4 people and you've got to get all 4 of them to vote because only 3 would be 75%.
But if actually people leave the meeting, someone can call for a quorum recount, and if the quorum hasn't been maintained, then you couldn't vote. Isn't that correct?
That's correct, but we're talking about if they vote, they have to be at the meeting. And if they vote abstention, they're at the meeting while they're voting, so they're in the quorum.
I understand that.
Yeah.
but Greta is saying that if some people leave, come into the meeting but then leave the meeting.
But you need to go
And-
back to our bylaws and see if they say 80% of those voting or whether they say 80% of the attendees. Because I think our bylaws might say that, and you all are all too lazy to look up our bylaws. I'm going to do it. You just watch. I know how.
Yeah, like I said, cause them trouble.
I know. You should be. Yeah, you don't.
I looked up the public witness process and it just says 80% in the majority or in favor. Yeah. It doesn't say anything about abstentions in our process for public witness.
So that would be of the vote then, as opposed to of those attending.
Yeah. A vote in favor of the resolution needs to be at least an 80% majority of those present.
Those present. Yeah, well, there you go.
That's what it
So-
says. But
So if you have 100%,
people are going to be friends. People are going to bring friends to the meeting, non-members.
That's right. I'm going to be at the meeting and I can't vote.
right,
Am
right.
I going to be
but,
counted?
Sean can't vote. I mean,
No, but it's not of those present. It's of those members that are present, right?
Well, no, we've got election buddy though. So on election buddy, if you voted for the budget and then abstained from the name change, you would have been counted as a voter, but you abstained. But
Right,
so I don't think you're going to count who came to the meeting. You're going to count who voted because we're online.
And the other thing is, I don't know how many people are aware of this yet, but apparently what we're going to do this time is not actually give out the password to be able to vote until it is actually time to vote. And then Lori's going to give that out.
What's it going to be? Do we all get to vote on what the word should be? Please? Can we have it be something like dumbass? No, wait a minute. That wouldn't be good.
It's gonna be good. Okay, it'll be good.
Just for the-
G-O-O-D.
John's picking it? Oh, good. Okay, well, good. Then I'm excited. I will use the secret word if Sean is picking it.
So that at least obviates the problem of people voting who didn't come to the meeting.
But let me clarify, actually, we're not using the public witness process, so strike my observation, because y'all get to decide, because where we do, this is board initiative, board-driven initiative, and so we're starting from scratch. And so right now, I think that we're creating the rules for how this will go, based on using Zoom, based on fairness and like transparency. And, not letting people be spoilers, but really representing the will of the people.
We did the same for Leah's vote too. There was not a real standard for what that vote threshold needed to be, but we set it ahead of time.
Yeah, because when we vote for a minister, is it 90%? When you vote to elect a minister, it's more than a supermajority. I think it's 90%. But it's interesting that we chose 80%. And that's considered, everybody goes, oh, a supermajority, and they don't ever question. So whatever Lori says at the beginning of the meeting is what it is. You don't get a chance to argue with her about what an abstain vote is. It's what she says it is.
We chose 80% for the vote for Leah, the recommendation of the UUA saying that, she was a member, if she was in the congregation for so long, they said do 80%. So we said, okay.
Yeah. And honestly, if we were there in person, we would not have the precision that we do now, because if someone just didn't raise their hand, you would just bypass it and not count them, or if they went to the bathroom, or, for a dozen reasons.
But I remember people abstaining. It was an issue they wished to make by saying, I abstain.
Yeah, agree.
So I think that maybe we do need to clarify, we're going to be 80% of those voting, and abstaining makes a record of your abstention, but it doesn't affect the vote. No's and yeses go head to head, and abstaining is off to the side as a statement of your participation, but it doesn't count against.
Yeah.
So it's 80% of those voting yes or no.
Yes.
We'll have to work on the wording.
All right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you definitely need to work that way, because, I was thinking it was 80% of those within the quorum. So that's just for easy math. We had a quorum of 100 people there, and 79 of them voted yes. 3 people abstained, and the other 28 people, voted no. Then, is
Not
that
80% of those voting yes and no. Abstaining goes out of the box.
Yeah, and quorum, we don't use election buddy too, so that's going to be a little bit. I mean, we trust that everyone, when you raise your hand, you say only members raise your hand, but that's also, you're not getting your secret password and your.
No, but we are. We are. Greg is checking everyone in. Breck is checking everyone in.
Okay.
And so he knows who's there. He knows
how
the
many
exact
members
quorum.
are present.
Quorum is certified by the membership list.
Yeah. So it's not just on your honor, you're a member.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
only members are getting the ability to vote because each member has their own special access code. The only thing we can't control is people finding out the password after the fact and then voting even though they're not here. That's the only thing we can't really
Right.
take. We can know that they're not here because of the check-in sheet, but without
Right.
jumping through a bunch of hoops, we won't know which way they voted and a bunch of other stuff in order to subtract that from the total count if we needed to.
So if we end up with 100 no votes, but there were only 70 people at the meeting, we have to take it to the Supreme Court, I think.
We'd have to look at the timestamps.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
That's who we've taken it to. And I
Guys, as timekeeper, can I just, are we back, or is this is casual break talk?
No, this is we are back, and so does anyone want to take a stab at writing in the script how to explain to people this yes, no, abstention conundrum? Or I can ask Matthew to explain it.
Well, from the way it looks, it needs, the answer to that question is dependent on how we defined 80%. 80% of what? And then we can decide how the abstention affects the voting. If it's 80% of people in attendance, 80% of people who are actually voting, or 80% of the membership, each of those has different outcomes on the vote and the way an abstention works.
So,
80% of those voting yes or no.
okay. Beth and Breck, you've been involved with voting before. Does that seem like an accurate description of how you've done it in the past when we've been live and in person? 80% of people voting yes or no?
I think it's for us to define in this case, and I think that we just need to say it before the vote happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, can you tell me how much time we need on this, because this is kind of ad-libbed?
We're going to shut this down in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Does that seem accurate? Is that how it's been done in the past, Breck?
I
Beth?
don't know that we've had a vote
I don't
that
know.
close.
I thought it was that it was, if you are voting and you abstain, that you are counted in, but I have to ask someone else.
All
I
right.
don't know if Breck knows.
All right. Will you ask Amy, and maybe Amy can craft it? Stan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
My sense is that it's never really made that much of a difference when people have been abstaining. I remember people abstaining, but it's always been 2 or 3.
Okay.
Right.
And so I would say, yes, we do need to define it this time, just in case it does, because it's going to be a more obvious option, I think.
Right. Okay.
Uh,
Beth, do you mind checking with Amy then? And maybe she's good at this sort of thing. Ask her to describe this situation and what has happened in the past.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to ask her. In fact, I'm texting her right now.
Okay. All right, let's move on to new business. And the first thing up is the board retreat, planning and setting a date, and talking about what we want to get out of the retreat. So I believe at the last meeting, we were going to have the leadership retreat first, and then any takeaways from that, we would incorporate into the board retreat. Linda, do you want to talk about the leadership retreat a little bit and where we should go from here?
Well, the leadership retreat, as you know, was basically just an orientation of kind of what the interim work is going to be. So it wasn't really so much a goal setting. It did raise some interesting questions that I'm going to be bringing to the interim task team to, muse, and we'll talk about it and probably bring it back to you, which might have some implications of where we might be heading to do some work. But it really, I don't know that, I think the board still needs to have a conversation with what they heard and are thinking, and if that impacts the goals that the board wants to set for themselves for this year. And of course, the board retreat also is talking about, how do you covenant with each other, and, how do you want to work together? Are there any things, the way things are going, that you might want to change? And, I don't know if you've had a chance to meet in the summer that way after you took office, but it's always a good idea to have a little time for that too.
Okay.
So, and I don't know, if you felt that anything came out of the leadership thing on Saturday that informs your conversation, but it'd be interesting. And, I might have more to bring after I've talked it over with the interim team.
Okay. I think there were some thoughts floating around if we wanted to do 2 2-hour sessions for a board retreat or 1 4-hour session. And I believe most of the feedback I heard was 2 2-hour sessions. Does that still seem to be true? Okay, we can put some dates out there for some possibilities. And Liberty and Breck, I think the 3 of us were going to come up with something. Linda, would you like to join us in coming up with whatever we're going to do for our board retreat?
I would be honored to get to meet with the 3 of you. My gosh, that would be
Great.
such a pleasure.
We will loop you in on an email and figure out a time to discuss this, and we'll put some dates out there, but probably in the next 6 weeks or so, definitely by the end of October, beginning of November, before we get into the holiday season, and then nothing happens after that. Okay. Anything else on the board retreat then? Okay. Next up, Leah's ordination. Is anyone on the board on the ordination committee? Yes, I see some hands going up. All right. Pam, would you like to talk about that? Or who wants to talk about that first? Let's talk about something happy for a change. Leah, you want to lead us off here?
Well, I invite Pam if she wants to make a report or an update. Exciting plans are underway. You want to share any of that, Pam?
Sure. I don't feel like I'm the biggest one in the know here, but we have great ideas. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be a celebration. There's going to be a ceremony, then there's going to be a parade, and there might be goodies in some way. We have had numerous, I think we've talked the most about the goodies. I think it's going to be really lovely, and I think we're chugging away on it.
Yes, so please, everybody, save the date, 4 p.m. on Sunday the 18th. And much of it will be virtual. Some of it will be happening with very limited people in the building, in the sanctuary. And more information is coming very soon, because there is a participatory part where the congregation and others are being invited to write messages on ribbon that will be made into artistic something that a part of the planning team is working on. So the invitation is forthcoming soon. And in fact, Breck and Laura are working on the aesthetics and art that are connected with that. So it's a joyful thing.
Great. Well, again, it'll be so nice to have something joyful in the news and on our plates. So save the date.
So are we going to get to crown you?
No, it's not a coronation. It's an ordination.
I think we should make you a crown anyway, just for
I know,
fun.
I thought a garland, a garland crown.
Great. All right, next up, stewardship.
So somebody put that in the minutes. That's Elizabeth's taking that on.
Yeah, Elizabeth will be making you a crown with a garland. Linda, stewardship, what should we talk about today?
Well, I know this is a concern for a lot of folks because especially last Sunday, the budget conversation was not so much about this year's budget, but about our anxiety about next year's budget. And so I have a lot of confidence that if I start talking to a lot of people in the October, November time period, that Stan is going to give me names, but I like to ask all of you to give me names of people that either in the past have had experience with a Canvas or a pledge drive, or that maybe they haven't helped the church, but they have that kind of energy or that interest that they would be interested in having conversations about how do we do this. And so I'm going to sort of, out of the wisdom I gain out of these conversations and possibly some enthusiasm that we drum up, we're going to put together a team, and it won't be the board, and it won't be Stan, and it won't be the finance committee. It's going to be a team of people that are going to focus on the pledge drive. They'll give everybody, connections. Like we need finance to help us with numbers and Stan to help us with advice. And the board, of course, needs to be leaderly and to, work with us on crafting what the message is and then how to sort of spread the enthusiasm. And so that will be, probably during the month of January, we'll be doing a quiet stage of the work, which is where we start to talk with some people who've been generous in the past and get their ideas and their input, talk to other people. And so that by the time we're ready to actually say we're having our pledge drive, we'll already have a sense of where the energy is, where the support is, where we need to do some direct attention. And then I'm not sure, and this is something I'll need to talk over with the board and finance, what the standard time frame would be. I think sometime end of February into end of March is a good time to do a Canvas. I'm a big believer in time limited, that you have a launch and you have a completion date. And you tell everybody this is your time, because I know some churches it drags on and on and on and on, and it's kind of like that just, it gets to be too much. I think it's important to just say, this is when we're asking everybody. Everybody's, needs to tell us what they want. And so hopefully by then we will have everybody will have a positive message. We'll have some really exciting, creative conversations to invite people in. And the stewardship, if you have a successful Canvas, it raises everybody's spirits. And then I know that there's this hope that eventually there'll be a sort of a standing umbrella committee that would be looking at how this goes around all year. So it's not just focused on the one Canvas, but I think you have to have that win first. You have to have that feeling like this was fun, this was great. And how, we're gonna have to do it probably without having any kind of fun get together, big dinner blast. It's gonna have to be something else, but I have a feeling we can come up with something. And I also have a real feeling there's a lot of love among people for this congregation. And I've heard that, people are, wondering, why don't we have a better level of giving? Stan has done the research and we're way below the average pledge for other congregations with similar incomes and similar geo-index cities. So it's kind of puzzling. And it's not like we have, in past campaigns didn't do, a lot of conversations and talking to people. So we're just gonna have to make sure we put all the pieces in place. So that there's a positive message from the pulpit, from the board, circulating for several months before we get to the place of making the ask. And I think right now what you're doing, the board is doing, is actually you're beginning one of the important parts of the Canvas, which is building trust in the leadership. If the congregation feels that they can trust those of you who are gonna figure out how to spend the money, if they feel they can trust you, they're going to be more likely to give you their money. And so by the very work that you're doing right now, you're building trust. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you all to show up. By the way, you all did a beautiful job on Sunday. you know, that little thing we did. You smiled, you looked great. I would have trusted my money with you. And if so the work you're doing and Stan's doing with the finance committee and the board to make sure that we are getting our feet on the ground with financial stewardship, that is one of the big things. And then hopefully with the board's retreat and more conversations, where we get to have deep conversations, we'll come up with this real sense of who are we and why are we? What's compelling about this congregation? Why this congregation has to thrive? You know, we need it as members, but the community needs it too, and our message is needed in the world. And I sort of feel like the election is going to help us one way or the other. Because if it goes one way, everybody's going to feel like, oh my God, we have to save the world. And if it goes the other way, everybody will be in a good mood. And you know what I mean? So either way, I have a feeling that I don't want to reveal my partisanship here. So
yeah, you look just like a trumpet.
I know.
Too late.
So anyway, so I have so I'm feeling very like this is really doable. And the first step though will be, I'm going to ask each of you to think about who would be a good person for me to talk to. I've sort of picked it up, but I'm not good at taking notes. So if you can remember people that have worked on the campaign in the past, who have strong feelings about how to do it, or you know, they do great fundraisers for their PTA at their school, and but they just have never done it for us. Give me those names. Stan is going to help me with some idea of some wise people that understand money, because we need those kind of people as well as the kind of people that like to sort of shape these kind of programs. So that's kind of what I have in mind. The fall is meeting people, listening to them, seeing if I can stir up enough interest and energy that I'll actually get a team to go to work. And then after Christmas, we'll start actually having conversations with givers. Yes, Stan?
Yeah, I just want to say, first, I really, really like everything you're saying. And yes, we have been making an effort to definitely be more open and transparent with the congregation the last year and a half. But I think one of the things that's going to make a really huge difference with this upcoming canvas is the enthusiastic participation of the current minister. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I want to tell you, I'm appreciating the way you're approaching this.
Oh, well, good, Stan. And not only will I be enthusiastic, I think, you know, Leah and Alex and Sean, all of us will be, you know, we'll each take our roles too. We'll be enthusiastic and lead. And if each of you can also do that with the communities that you know and the people you know, to say, this is the right time, we're pulling it together, and this is a good time to give support. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, Stan. And I'm really pleased that Stan is interested in this too. And I do not want Stan to become, he's not the pledge chair. Nobody think about that. But I'm counting on his insight and wisdom. And so thank you, Stan, for being willing to share that with me.
Too.
Yes, agree. Thank you, Stan. Danny Gray was last year's pledge drive chair. But because of the pandemic and life and whatnot, Danny, I'm pretty sure is commuting to work up in Maryland, and his family is living down here in Charlottesville. So I'm not sure if Danny is going to be an option this year for pledge.
Well, but he's one of the people I want to talk to. I want to talk to a lot of people. I want to talk to like 20 people, you know, that were past chairs, or you just think of, you know, interested people that would have some insight.
Yes. No, I was just going to say, please put on your thinking caps. And if anyone can think of someone else to lead the pledge drive this year, speak up.
Yeah, you can give me those names, but I would rather start with grassroots organizing.
Right.
I don't want to go to somebody and say, somebody said you should lead the drive. Instead, I'd like to, maybe you could tell me who that might be, but I would invite them along with everybody. I'm being a little candid here, a little transparent about my method. There's, you know, there's
a method to your madness, Linda.
That's it. Thank you. I was trying to think of the experience that I will know who I think is going to be the person, but I will have that person be among a group of people, and we'll all be talking and getting the energy. And then, you know, if nobody else steps forward, you know, then I'll just be able to turn to that person later on the side, and I'll go, wow, we have so many great ideas. I wish somebody would lead, and I wonder, would you be interested? You know, and that person won't have felt like they had been, you know, buttonholed from the beginning. The other way, of course, is you get a couple of excited people and they were willing to work together and make a team. So yeah, but give me both the people that you think that in the past did it, but maybe couldn't do it, but I still want their input. I want their wisdom. I don't want to give up on anything that's been learned over the last 20 years or 30 years.
Does anybody know who was on the team that Christine trained?
Not a clue.
Well,
Christine
trained.
Christina.
Had a stewardship.
Chris
right.
Rivera.
Chris Rivera. It was me, and it was
Amy.
Yeah,
Amy?
Amy and Adam Slade have been involved in.
No, I wasn't
Janine,
involved in
part of
that
it,
one, but it was me and Christina. I mean, and Amy,
Karen Prairie.
Aaron.
All right.
It wasn't that many people. It was only.
No, it wasn't. Amy, yeah. Janine Braithworth.
Janine started out.
It started out, and I was there as a communications
and Liberty too.
liaison,
Yeah.
but I was not trained to do calls. We were just talking about the campaign part of it.
Yeah.
I would say the training was minimal.
Yeah.
We never really got going in any.
Yeah. Well, I know how to train people to do asks. I'm looking more for people that are helping me shape the whole thing.
Yeah.
How about Kathy Polly?
Oh, that's a good name.
Great. Yeah, you don't have to take board time now, but I mean, I love your energy of remembering names, and if you think of any others, you can send them to me.
I was going to say, I've got a list from this past Sunday.
Oh yeah, some of the people there had seemed to have some real interest. Thank you, Stan. That would be good.
Yeah.
And a few other ideas that I've been tossing around too. So you'll get more names from me.
I was trained by, well, the UA did some training, but I ended up actually being trained by a private company, a nonprofit that works with churches and universities. And they promised us that we'd raise more money than the UUA had ever helped us raise. This was for a capital campaign. We raised 5 times what the UUA had told us we'd be able to do. 5 times, because they trained us how to do it. And so that's at the ask time. There's a lot to do before you get to the ask time.
Wow, that's remarkable. Well,
Yeah.
I hope.
But that was for a capital campaign, which is different.
Still, I hope we have even a percentage of that success. That would be amazing.
Well, we need 80,000 more, right, Stan?
Minimum.
80,000, and your current pledge is at 350.
If we want to be.
So somebody do a percentage. What's that percentage increase
Well,
we
what
need?
we really need is about a 30% increase. In
A
pledge.
30% increase. Okay.
That's going to bring us up to the point where we can actually pay the UUA the fair share. We might potentially be able to give out some raises. But we really need to get that 30%. So.
Right.
Right.
Great.
Well, good. Good to have a goal. All right. I'm going to jump over one on the agenda here. And I see Elizabeth, you've got Pachamutis of Summit House in November board vote. You want to explain that to us anymore, or should we just vote? You're
Muted.
muted.
Pacham needs Summit House for overflow. They have 50 rooms rented already. And so they, what happens in the season is they can get up to as many as 65, but not till it starts to get cold. So I have told them I prefer 18 in our building when I picture it in the rooms, that I could stretch it to 20 if the census started to go up. And that they have listed their COVID regulations at the bottom. So they have said they would do all of the manpower. We would not be asked for volunteers as backup like we have when we rented they've used this Summit House. And they have various churches providing food, and they're probably going to follow the pattern they do now, where they bring their food to them in individualized containers and they eat on their bed, but they'll probably eat outside.
Okay. Linda?
My question is, has the building use team looked at the plan, and does it match with what our recommendations are?
It does. And there were recommendations that we used earlier in the year when we first closed down. Pacham was there for a little bit. And it's got approval from the the building use team. The caveats are, that they do follow their COVID program. Before, the first time they were here, we did have to remind them because sometimes they did not have compliance with masks or just, general building use. And they had the guardians there, and I think I saw 3 of them in their time, and 2 of them were absolutely fantastic, and 1 of them couldn't care less about cleaning. So I'd ask that more follow-up would be done to make sure that they are getting their cleaning done.
Okay, all right. But the recommendation is that we accept this.
Yeah, since they're not going to be interacting with our only other renter, then yeah, the building use team doesn't see an issue with them coming in.
Okay. All right, well then, Elizabeth, would you like to make a motion and then we'll vote?
I move that we allow PACHM to use our Summit House building for the month of November.
Okay, and a second?
Second. Second.
Excellent, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that looks unanimous. Excellent, thank you so much. All right, now we are at a report from the conflict resolution team, and so we'll have to go into closed session. Elizabeth, I see you raising your hand.
Leah and Sean, you didn't tell us about the medical advisory team, the building use task force.
Did I see that on here?
No, they were supposed to advise to the PACHM.
Yeah, that's what Sean was just talking about.
All right, never mind, sorry. Back away.
Back away. All right, so once again, we're going into closed session. If you're not on the board, let me thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming to this meeting and knowing what we know, but you'll have to sign out now because we're gonna go into closed session for the last part of the board. So thank you, friends. We'll see you on Sunday, if not sooner.
Lori,
David?
am I gonna stay for this?
I don't believe, although, are you on the?
Yes.
Yes. Because you're on the.
I'm the chair of the comm.
Yes. Is that all right with everyone else, David, to stay for this because he is on the comm and therefore on the conflict resolution team? I don't see a problem with that. All right.